All right, so thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are looking at the upcoming summer program for the UC Davis Professional Coaching Program. Right off the bat, I just want to make sure and mention this is your session. We are here to answer your questions and make sure that you have all the information that you need to make your decision as you're out there exploring your various options for coaching programs. So please throw your questions into the Q&A box. We will collect them there and we will try to answer those as we go. If your question isn't answered during the session, we'll definitely be able to answer it at the end of the session. These are always more fun when we get sort of a conversation going back and forth. So this is, we're here for you. Don't be shy, throw those questions out there. So my name is Heather Ogle. I am the program manager for our coaching programs here at UC Davis. And I'm also joined by Christy Craig, our enrollment coach. And you can see there our beautiful director, Jill Parrish, who helps run all of our business programs here at CPE. Christy, hi, would you like to say hi to everybody?
Of course. Thank you so much for everyone joining us. We're really excited to have you part of this information session, and I am here to help out with any additional questions that you have before, during, or after the information session. I'll go ahead and put a link into the chat. That way you're able to schedule any private appointments with me that you would prefer. You're able to reach out to me through phone, Zoom, email, whatever works best for you. I'm here for your convenience. And then I'll also put a link to the application. So that way, if you do have any questions along the way, please do reach out. I'll stay here for the remainder of the information session, and then I'll be here for you afterwards. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks so much, Christy. Somebody did mention in the Q&A that you are on mute, and yes, unfortunately, that's a function of the webinar feature, so that we have lots of people who can join. It ends up putting you guys on mute, so go ahead and feel free to type away in the Q&A box, and that way we can communicate back and forth. Okay. So, as I mentioned, we're here for you, so I'd love to learn a little bit about you guys. I'm going to launch a poll, and if you don't mind taking a second to tell me a little bit about what brought you here today, what sparked your interest in coaching? Did you have a friend say, you know, you're always doing this kind of coaching stuff, you should really look into it as a profession? Are you already doing some coaching and you're looking to get your ICF certification, which if you're new to the phrase ICF, we'll talk about that a little bit as we go through the session. Maybe you're a lifelong learner and you're just curious about the topic and want to know more about it. Oh, there we go. Make sure you guys can see the screen. So let's take a look. How are we doing here? All right, looks like most people have answered at this point, and we have a whole spread of folks. Let's share that. Gosh, you guys are all over the place. That's so cool. So we have folks who just want to learn some coaching skills, some folks who are thinking about a career shift, in the 20% range. We have another 25% who are currently coaching and you're looking for that formal education. We're starting to see that more and more as coaching becomes more of a well-known career. And then somebody else said they had a coach and they were receiving coaching, and that sparked their interest in the world of coaching, and they wanted to come and learn more about it. So that's perfect. Thank you for sharing what brought you to us today. And I will keep that in mind as we keep going here. So I'm going to take a second to introduce our program directors. These are the folks who helped to create the program from the ground up back when you had to go either to Texas or Harvard if you wanted to get your coaching education. And so we are so lucky to have our master certified coach. There are only 1% of the coaches in the world rank at a master certified level, Michelle Payne. And then we also have Carol Bennett, who's at a PCC level and also just got her PhD in adult education and learning. And she runs an internal coaching program for Sutter Health. So some very big swingers there in the coaching world, and big hitters. Big swingers, big hitters is what I was looking for. And so they are part of your instructors. And then we also have another master certified coach, Lori Cozart, who instructs as well. And we also have a whole suite of mentors. So as part of this program, you will receive your mentor coaching that's required if you want to get that ICF coaching certificate. So we have a whole slew of folks who are ready to help support you as you go through this journey. Okay, and then I see some questions popping up. Question about how long this particular session is going to go. We'll be here for questions through the full hour, but the session itself usually goes about 40 minutes. And if you need to hop off, again, you'll get a recording of this, and Christy is always available to have private discussions with you, one-on-one discussions about the program, and answer any questions that you might have lingering after this session. All right, so I'd like to stop right here while we're at the agenda and take this moment to introduce our alumni who has joined us this afternoon. Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Mike, would you like to take a second and tell the folks a little bit about what brought you to the coaching program?
Sure, absolutely. So I had felt a pull to coaching for a number of years. I actually had stepped into a coaching program about 10 years ago. I wasn't particularly excited about what the program entailed. And so when I was finally looking to step back into kind of exploring some additional training and really sharpening my skill in terms of coaching, I narrowed down the programs to academic programs. So UC Davis, along with a few other schools, were schools that attracted to me. I know that folks tend to overpromise and sometimes underdeliver. Sorry about that. My dogs are a little crazy right now.
Have something to say about the coaching.
They sure do. They were excited. But a lot of times programs overpromise and underdeliver. And so I trusted that at University of California, Davis, that being an academic program, that would definitely be lessen any concerns with regard to that. And I certainly was pleased all the way around.
Thanks so much. All right, so we're going to have Mike with us. Feel free to throw questions in for him as well as we go. And we're just going to ask for his perspective as we go through the presentation on all of the different slides here. When I have that up, are you guys able to see? Is it blocking your view? Looks, no? Okay. So we're going to spend a quick little bit of time talking about what we mean when we say coaching, what our philosophy of coaching is, how our program is different from some other programs afterward. Sorry, I read a slide. Then other programs out there. We'll look at the program schedule so that you can have an idea of what it's like to go to class throughout the full 5 months of the program. We'll talk a little bit about the ICF, that's the International Coach Federation, which is something that our program ties to very closely, but is not a requirement. So people go through our program and never pursue the ICF. That's totally fine, but we'll talk a little bit about that. Some extra benefits that come along with taking an academically approved program, and then again, that time for the Q&A. All right, so going to launch another poll here and see, have you guys ever had a coach yourself? This question has been interesting over the years because as coaching has grown, more and more people say yes. But when we first started asking this question, very few people had personally been coached because it just wasn't around as much. And now it's really getting out there, getting into the population, and people are getting to experience the benefit for themselves, which is amazing and also inspiring. That's one of the reasons that I so enjoyed taking the program as well. So let's see, we have almost 50% say, yes, I have had coaching. Another 15% around are currently getting coaching, and the rest of you guys say you have not, but would be interested. So yeah, that's very interesting. That proportion continues to grow and grow. And so that's fantastic because you know what it's like to be on that side of the relationship and the amazing benefits that coaching can bring to the client, which is just such a special perspective to have as a coach. So this kind of touches on what we mean here at UC Davis when we say coaching, right? We're not talking about a soccer coach. And we align with the ICF definition. So with an ICF definition of coaching, you're really acting as a partner with your client to be that sounding board, provide a creative process, thought-provoking questions, and really help them take them from where they are today, moving forward to maximize themselves for whatever it is their particular goals might be. And sometimes it's easier to think about this in terms of what coaching isn't. So coaching is similar to mentorship, but it's not mentorship because as a mentor, you've been there, done that, you know all the things that somebody should do. You say, you should do this. Well, we call that shoulding, and you shouldn't should on somebody as a coach. So you're not going to be telling people what to do. You're going to be helping them find their own solutions, which is magnitudes more powerful. Counselors and therapists can also be confused with coaches. And that is something that's very important. We talk about from day one, differentiating when somebody needs a therapist versus a coach, because therapy looks to your past. It looks to what is preventing you from moving forward because of something that's happened in the past. And, as we all know, that can get very complicated, and that's not the realm of coaching. So we talk about coaching ethics and when to refer to therapists. People can have therapists and coaches at the same time, just depending on every single individual, but it's not the same thing, right? So as a coach, you're taking somebody where they are today and looking forward. You're not going to be looking into their past. So that's kind of some of the things that get confused with coaching. And so what we mean when we're talking about coaching and this program, what you're going to learn to do by coming through this program. And then on this next slide is sort of an illustration that I like to use to explain how our program is slightly different than some of the other programs out there. You may see programs that say executive coaching, or specifically life coaching or health coaching. These are all very specific content programs. Ours is different because we teach the fundamentals, the core competencies, the core skills. If you think about basketball, it's the dribbling, it's the footwork that every good coach should have. These core skills, again, are defined by the ICF, one of the top, if not the top, international societies for professional coaching. We follow those core competencies so that you can take those skills and go coach in any genre. So the skills to coach an executive are the same skills that you're going to use to coach couples who may be looking for couples coaching or youth coaching or health coaching. All these genres are going to be informed by their specific details, but the core skills are the same. And one of the great sort of side effects, I suppose, of the way that we do this program is that because you can come in from any genre with any interest, you get this wonderful mix of people in the cohort, all this variety, who you end up spending a lot of time with, and your classmates inform your learning as much as anything else. Mike, what was your experience like with your cohort? And did you have a certain idea about what you were going to do with your coaching when you started? And did it change as you went through the program?
Sure. So just to kind of piggyback on what you were just sharing in terms of the skills overall, what I found, and I think that folks who are here who actually coach are going to find that you'll definitely sharpen your skill set. And for those of you who are looking to step further into coaching, you're going to find that essentially you're going to have more tools, more effective tools to be able to practice and work with clients and hold space for folks. It's really powerful, just a powerful skill set and a powerful set of tools. The other part of it all, you asked about the cohort. That was another reason why I chose UCD. Essentially, some programs out there are you can pretty much just do on your own, complete the materials, read the reading. Other programs, you might be stepping into a classroom, but it could be with other folks at a university who might just be auditing the class or taking the class otherwise, or at different points in terms of their in terms of their studies. The nice thing about this program that I like that was attractive to me is that we all started as a class and a cohort together, and we went along that process, and we kind of like went through that arc and what you'll learn about as the J curve if you haven't already. We went through all of that together, and so you were able to bond, you were able to connect, you were able to get to know folks, and honestly, like some of the people, the quality of the students and just the diversity of backgrounds and experiences were really amazing. I mean, from C-suite level folks in Silicon Valley to doctors and therapists and scientists and people just doing some really amazing things. And you really get to know them, not only in your class time, but it's funny, since I left the program, I've continued to develop relationships with those folks. We've actually, we have our own little kind of pod that a number of different classmates have created. So we still meet and we still talk. In fact, I was on one of my pods earlier before I jumped onto this call. And also we do a lot of mutual and kind of exchange coaching together. So you really get a chance, especially in that experience, to be able to kind of deepen your relationships. And some of the people are just really like, they become friends, and I'm surprised with an online program that I was going to connect as deeply and as in the special way that I did.
That's so fantastic. Thank you, Mike, for sharing all of that. There's so much great stuff in there that that you just said. It's very true what you share about the surprise of the depth of relationships that you can build despite it being an online program. It seems like it would really deter from the experience, and yet somehow that screen falls away. And because the way that the program is built, where it's 50% or more experiential, you are getting into small groups constantly, practicing with your cohort mates, practicing coaching each other. You're receiving a massive amount of coaching. You really do get to know these folks on a deeper level than you ever would in a normal, quote unquote, average classroom. And it can be something that lasts. It's a very familiar story to hear that you guys have your own sort of pod or Facebook group or alumni group or things like that, and people still get together, practice coaching each other, share stories and experiences. Oh, well, I had this one client and it was tricky this way or that way. And so it is fantastic that despite having gone, originally we went online because of the pandemic. Now we see this wonderful diversity that we can now serve by being online. We're reaching populations that we couldn't reach before, and people from all kinds of walks of life, whether, like you said, we've got C-suite folks, Intel, IBM, ready to get their ICF certification so they can coach for these tech companies. And one of my favorites, we had a Sacramento Midtown bartender once, who was, just looking to get into the field. And so it's all ages, all backgrounds, all demographics, ethnicities. It's a beautiful mix of really incredible people. And it's definitely a part of the experience of the program is getting to participate with that cohort. All right, so moving forward, keep those questions coming. Those are great questions. Quick poll about your location. So this used to really impact who would be able to make it to the program. Despite the fact that we were in person, we would still usually get one person flying in from another country, and they would live in Sacramento for 6 months just to take this program. And now we have multiple people from other countries taking the program. We had multiple people from India taking the program in the middle of the night on one of the more recent cohorts. So we love to see, like, who do we have with us today, and how from how far afield, is that the phrase? So let's just take a quick peek here. A lot of local folks, about 28-30% local folks, which is very regular. We still have our tried and true Sacramento locals. Then we have our Bay Area, which is great because it used to be just a little bit too far for you folks. Some folks would be committed and they would drive up every day over the weekend for it, but it's a little bit of a drive. And then Southern California and outside California, it's perfect. Now that we're online, we can really reach you guys. And then we've got somebody with us from outside of the US. So welcome. You are definitely in good company. And it's so exciting to have all kinds of people from all different backgrounds taking the program and coming to take a program here with us at UC Davis. So as we move forward, I'm going to talk a little bit about our program structure. When and what you can expect when you take the program. We have 2 cohorts that run. We have a winter and a summer. And Mike was in the last year's summer cohort. So if you're looking to get into this summer, he knows a lot about the summertime experience. And so feel free to ask questions there. And classes are on Fridays and Saturdays. And they're from 9 a.m. to about 4 p.m. Sometimes there's office hours that can go to 5 p.m. And you have a break for lunch and lots of little intermittent breaks throughout the day, stretch breaks, water breaks, etc. And that happens pretty much every other week. It's not strictly every other week because we have to adjust for university holidays or things like that. But that's the basic idea, is that you'll have 2 days of class. You'll have a week to work on your coaching, practice your coaching, do some homework. And then the following week, you'll come back at the end of the week for the next set of classes. And again, it is all over Zoom. We are, now that the world is starting to approach our new normal, looking into reinstating an in-person cohort. So let us know if that's something you're interested in. It's still very much in the idea phases of looking with that, experimenting and seeing what that might look like these days. But let us know if that's something that you would want. Otherwise, we are fully remote, online, and the program is designed to be online. So that was one of the great things, is that when we went online, we got instructional designers and said, okay, we're going to be in this format. How do we do it the best? How can we really make this experience, keep the quality experience that we're known for? These are the classes that you go through. So there are 5 individual courses within the whole program that walk you through stages from learning those ethics. You start right away with ethics and confidentiality. The group makes their own confidentiality agreement as a cohort so that it's a safe space. There's very little to no recording done during the sessions, so that you can feel free to be coached and coach openly and have real practice. Then you have your core competencies, where you're learning those really precise coaching skills, coaching mindset, where you're looking at yourself and really building up your own foundation so that then you can serve others because you have a solid foundation. And then you really finish with some more in-depth. If you're already a coach, those first couple sessions may feel a little slow. However, we say approach it with a beginner's mind, see what little tidbits you can pull out from that new experience, and then really get ready for classes 4 and 5, because that's when you're going to be hit with some fresh content, neuro-linguistic programming, lots of tools, tips, tricks, and the more of the advanced coaching things. Mike, everybody has different opinions on what their favorite class was. Do you have a favorite?
I love the neuro-linguistic programming. Lori Kozar, who was one of the faculty members, all the faculty were fantastic. Lori was definitely masterful. And she was, I think, really critical in terms of introducing that and just making the connections between positive psychology and neurology and how all that kind of intersects. Super, super interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And Heather, there was a question that was asked before. I don't know if you want me to hold off or should I address it now? Or
go for it. Yeah, if you see something. Totally.
So one of our folks, Emily, she had asked, would you be willing to share what you do now and how this course shaped your career? Did you take the ICF certification? So as Heather mentioned, I finished the program just recently in December, and I am actually about 80 hours into my first certification, which I'm hoping to sit for the exam and and finalized sometime in the early summer, probably June. And I'm a lawyer by day. I work for the Attorney General's office for the state of Connecticut. So I serve in the public interest. I'm looking to essentially, I'm building out a coaching practice. I have about a dozen clients that I'm actively working with. And I'm looking to build a bridge into this work more fully. This is what is calling me to kind of create the next chapter of my life. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. That's fantastic. We will discuss how this program fulfills all the needs for that ICF certification, apart from your practice hours, which is what Mike mentioned. Is he's got 80 and you need 100 to sit for the exam. So that's fantastic. He's very close. Congrats on that. And then I'm just taking another quick look at the questions since you mentioned that. And there were some folks with questions and commenting on different ways from earlier when we talked about therapy and the different parts of coaching that people might get into and referencing spirituality. And so definitely, as far as therapy goes, this is an alternate path. Some people want to help people in this genre, and therapy may be, it's a very intense path to become a therapist with thousands of hours of work and degrees. And so we do have people who look to coaching to fulfill that same value, work value, without quite the same commitment and expense. And it just depends on what sort of topics you might want to help people with. If you're really interested in past or trauma work or something like that, that might be a therapist. Other folks who are really interested in motivation, goals, dreaming for the future, coaching is really fun for that. And then spirituality can absolutely play into how you coach. Everybody has a niche. That's part of becoming sort of the coach mastery, is thinking about your niche and what population you want to work with. So spiritually informed coaching is definitely a thing, and can absolutely be brought into your particular style of coaching and who you want to work with. So very good comments and questions, definitely on point. I'm going to keep going. Here is a picture of the schedule for the summertime. So somebody had asked, when do the summer and winter cohorts start? This is our next cohort, starts August 5th. Applications are open now. So Christy put a link to our application in the chat. Click that, open that window so you have it. It's free to apply. We'll look at those questions here in a second. And we're accepting applications on a rolling basis. There is a final deadline, of course, but get it in. We'll get you approved as soon as we can, and see if we can get you a spot in the program. The winter courses usually start the very last weekend in January. So that would be 2023, the last weekend in January. And those applications would open in September. And feel free to email Christy if you have any questions about when the applications would happen, specific details, that kind of thing. And the acceptance rate is pretty good. What I will say is that the cohort fills up. So we have had wait lists, and sometimes people need to defer to the next cohort. The other thing to mention while we're on the schedule is really get in touch with us, get a copy of this schedule, take a look at the recording, make sure that you can attend all of these dates, because missing even one class, you're going to miss such a large chunk of content. One, you may regret it. I did. I took the program. I missed one day. I still regret it. I still wonder about what they talked about. And two, you can only miss 2 classes and still have enough hours to sit for that ICF exam. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're interested in graduating with your UC Davis certificate or later applying to the ICF, you really have to be there in class. It's not, there's lecture, but it's really not a lecture class. It's practice, it's practicum, it's doing, trying and learning, hands-on. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at the schedule. Make sure you can attend all the dates. And as far as the application goes, it's not really about accolades that you already have. It's more about your enthusiasm for coaching, your enthusiasm for the program, and your enthusiasm for contributing to the cohort. The cohort experience is something we're known for, and so we're really looking for people who are excited to take part in that experience and bring something to their fellow classmates as well. Turnaround after submitting an application, depending on when you submitted it. If we just looked at a batch of applications, which was the case at the end of March, then it may be a couple weeks. But we're at a point in time now, aligning up with this info session, where if you apply in the next week or so, we can get you a response a week or so after that. So we'll be keeping a close eye on the applications here, particularly since we're spending some time talking to you guys right now. We know that you're going to be turning those in, and we really want to try and get those turned around to you as quickly as possible. No cost to apply. Great question. Totally free. So no commitment, no cost. You can take a look at that application and turn in those questions, and there's no obligation if you're accepted. All right. I'm going to keep going because I'm just a little bit aware of time. I want to make sure we have time for everybody's questions. Here's a look at the sort of logistics of the program. The tuition is $9,500. That's all inclusive. So no surprises down the road. It's one click, apply, that's your price. That includes your textbooks. It includes a professional Zoom license. And I can tell you why in a second. It includes mentor coaching, which is required for that ICF certification. The application fee is, again, it's waived. And we also find clients for you, at least one volunteer community client, to kind of ease the nerves that can be there if you are brand new to coaching and trying to get into your very first coaching engagement. So we find people who we say, hey, we have students who are learning, you can receive free coaching. And we put you two together, and great things happen. People end up having professional coaching relationships after that. The people sometimes pay them, and they continue coaching long after the program. And so yes, all of these training hours are included in the price. The only thing that you don't get, if you're interested in the ICF, are the practice hours. So there's training, there's the learning, and then there's the practice. So the practice hours, you need 100 of those. You can get a lot while you're in the program. We have some students who only take about a month or two after the program's over to get all 100 hours. And then there are other students who take up to 3 years because they're just very relaxed about it. They coach a little on the side, they gather their hours, so it's really up to you how quickly you get those practice hours. And then there's a third kind of hour, good question, mentor hours. Mentor hours is time that you spend receiving feedback on your coaching style, how well you're adhering to the principles and the skills. And that's also included in the price. Whereas if you were to go to a different program that doesn't include the mentor hours, you'd be paying $2,000 minimum to a PCC level coach to provide you mentor hours so that you can apply for that ICF exam. Great questions. And you can see at the bottom of the slide, that final deadline is going to be May 31st. So you have a full month from now to look at that application. But like I said, the cohort does fill up, and if you get it in sooner, we can take a look at it sooner. Okay. So here's those dates. If you waited all the way until May 31st to turn in that application, that's okay too. You would be notified by June 7th of your status. And then all tuition payments are going to be due by June 20th. And that's to secure your spot in the program, and so that we can make plans and start buying things and get ready for you guys. Here's that online application. You would just create a profile. There are 4 questions. These are the questions. Again, you can look at these directly in the application because it's completely free to open. And it's really just getting at your story. We want to know about you, when you've done things like coaching, maybe you're not coaching right now, that's fine. When have you done similar things? What were the outcomes? How did it make you feel? Give us specific examples. It's really just getting to know about you and your relationship with coaching and your excitement about coaching, your plans with coaching, that kind of thing. It's not necessarily about, oh, well, I've already taken this other class here or something like that. Mike, any recommendations on that application or the application process?
No, I think the application process was pretty direct. I found it to be really straightforward. But just to piggyback on something you mentioned earlier in terms of the schedule, really quick, what you put in, you're going to get out exponentially. So definitely you want to just keep that in mind. You're your own client during this whole experience.
Very, very good point. Absolutely. And it is, it's good to mention that it is a professional program. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we are expecting full and committed engagement. If you know that you're going to be having, I don't know, other stuff happening on the side, but maybe in the wintertime, you won't have that stuff happening on the side. Maybe you wait and you apply for the wintertime. We really want to make sure that you're there and you're able to fully engage with your cohort mates and not have distractions and that kind of thing, just as you would if you were in person coming into the city, coming into the big, beautiful building to sit in class. I like to bring it up because some people are surprised when we were like, no, we want you to answer those questions and interact and all that kind of stuff. All right, so we have lots of questions coming in. That is fantastic. I'm going to take a look at those while I launch this poll. Let me pull this up here. All right, so launching a poll to ask if you have, well, what your familiarity is with the ICF. We've been throwing that acronym around a lot. Some folks it may be totally new. Some folks are totally, they know all about it. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So let me know where you're at. And while you're answering that, I'm going to take a look at some of these questions. Okay, business management curriculum, how to find clients, finances, that kind of thing. Great question. So we do not have that as a component of the program. We've tried that in the past, doing a little seminar afterwards, and we just did not get a lot of attendance, even though people said they wanted it. So what I do is I highly recommend this short course that's a business course. It's literally how to start your coaching business by the ICF. I may even have the link. Let me see. Where is it hiding under all my windows? There it is. There it is. Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat. So we do not, my computer will keep up. We don't have that as part of the program because the ICF does such a great job of covering that content. And that said, we do have an alumni group and instructors and mentors who are all very excited to answer questions, provide feedback on any of those sort of business type topics. So while it's not, we don't spend curriculum time on it specifically, there's lots of resources as part of the program, you're around you. And then there's this ICF class, which goes straight to the heart of the matter. Oh, there's a puppy dog.
Heather, if I may, just piggyback on that question as well.
Yeah.
As a person who's just come out of the program and is creating a coaching practice, the cohort is a great resource in terms of opportunities and sharing ideas and feedback about setting up your business, from an LLC versus an S Corp to just the nitty gritty that often comes up. A lot of folks come in with a business background and HR background and various skills, and people are really open to sharing. In addition, the faculty, fantastic. And as I mentioned before, members of our cohort created our own little kind of like pod group with 10 or 12 folks, and we've also shared resources that really run the gamut, from people who are practicing inside their own company or their own business as coaches, or in terms of those folks who are actually looking to go out independently and either get a job as a coach or start their own practice. So there definitely are a lot of other resources that are available.
Thank you, Mike. That's perfect. Okay, so most of you have heard of the ICF, are somewhat familiar, and then we have a couple who are totally new. So I'm going to spend just a second here on that. So again, that stands for the International Coach Federation, and what that is it's the professional society for coaching. There are a few of these out there, but the ICF is the #1 most recognized. When they say international, they literally mean international. All the continents except Antarctica, coaching. And so we have aligned with them from the very beginning to match their fundamentals and really provide a one-stop shop for flowing into their credential, which gets you those letters after your name. So kind of like a PhD, except not a PhD. You would be so-and-so ACC or PCC or MCC. So that's certified coach, and so it's associate, professional, or master certified coach. These credentials, these letters are very useful if you're looking to apply in the job market as a coach. These are things that will be specifically on job postings. And it's also a really valuable tool if you're just looking to hang a shingle and be a coach all on your own, to differentiate you from the other coaches in the world. You can just say today, you know what, I'm going to be a coach. I'm going to start a business. And you know that those people may be talented and do great things, but you want to show right off the bat that you have the skills to pay those bills. Like you have literally gone through the training and are vetted, so somebody knows they're getting quality if they spend their time to look into you as their coach. So that's why we bother with the ICF. This is a PCC level program or a level 2. There's a new terminology coming out that they're switching over their terminology. So this would be a level 2 program. So such that if you graduate, fulfill all the requirements, you turn in your final oral exam, and our master certified coach says, yep, you coached at a PCC level. All you need to do is turn in your UC Davis certificate and say, here are my hours and here's my certificate, and you will be ready to sit for that exam. And the first level of hours, I'm going to go ahead and go to this next slide. The first level of hours is going to be 100 hours right here. That's at the ACC level. That's where Mike has 80, and he's almost to his 100 hours. Let's say you keep coaching, and I hope you do. You make it all the way to 500 hours. Well, now you can use your UC Davis certificate again for the PCC level. You do not need to take more training or more mentor coaching or get more references or get, it's all taken care of because you took a PCC level program. Your program was already at this level. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 by taking this full program. You're getting education all the way through this middle level. And then you can see if you ever want to be an MCC, that's 1% of the coaches out there. You're going to need a minimum of 2,500 hours. So it happens, and more people are getting there all the time, but that's the pinnacle level. It's very impressive when people make it to that level. So this is as they say, people say, a busy slide. I like it when people say that. But the takeaway here is that by doing a UC Davis coaching certificate, all of these check marks are taken care of. The only thing that you need to worry about are these coaching experience hours or practice hours, as I called them earlier. And somebody asked, would the coaching I do at work count? Absolutely. You can count 75 of those hours as paid hours. And then you need 25 as pro bono. So you're going to do those for free. Just to help the community. And so you want to break it up for exactly how you get those hours. I'm going to pause right there and check the questions because this is often a lot of questions. Okay. Some great questions there. I see one, how many people are still coaching after taking the program? I would say I don't have like a specific percentage, particularly because we're not allowed to send surveys to people after the program and badger them. However, we have lots of people who stay in touch with us, and everyone who has pursued a coaching business has gotten their coaching business. I don't know of anyone who has come back and said, Heather, I didn't get my money's worth. This isn't working for me. It's not taking off. So anecdotal evidence, I know, I don't have a strict number for you, but people's ideas and plans change as they go through the program. They may start knowing they're going to do this particular thing. That changes by the time they get to the end. They're like, oh, actually, I want to coach this kind of person. But then they go out and they do it. And so very successful, anecdotally. Can't give you yeah.
Piggyback on that. The other beautiful thing about the program is that it gives you skills that you will use in all parts of your life, whether you actually step into coaching full time, whether it's just in your day-to-day experiences with your colleagues in your workplace, or whether it's with your family and friends. It really does transform a lot of relationships in how you listen and how you kind of take off the hat of always being in problem solving mode, at least speaking from my experience as a lawyer. And it really is, it's transformative in terms of myself and in terms of my relationships with others.
Thanks, Mike. That's a really good point. Bring us back and ground us. I have had multiple people tell me, and it sounds very cliche, but multiple people, this was a life-changing program. And it's not necessarily because the content is just so mind-blowing, but the practice and the coaching you receive and learning these skills can be life-altering in how you interact with your loved ones, the people at work, you're just the people around you and the rest of your life. So it has benefits not only as a business, if you want to pursue that as a business, but also we have lots of HR people who aren't making a coaching business per se, but they want to use coaching principles within their HR or their training. Very successful within HR. That combo is a good combo. Okay, so somebody says, do we help you get those reference letters? Partner you up with coaches for the reference letters? Definitely. Your mentors are all PCC level certified ICF coaches, so they are a great resource. We also will have alumni occasionally come into sessions and participate in exercises with the current students. So that's a great way to meet our alumni and get recommendation letters. And then we have an alumni group, closed group, just for people who have taken the program or are currently in the program. So as soon as you join, you can have access, if you want, to this alumni group where people, as Mike was saying earlier, share not only tips and tricks, but business ideas, good places, good kinds of software to use for your tracking your finances, and new coaching principles or this interesting thing. It's also a really great place to look for coaching community, interacting with other coaches, which can be a great place for letters. I've never, ever had anybody come to me and say, Heather, I just can't find somebody to do me a reference letter. Not a single time. So no, not to worry on that. Difference between the blue and the yellow column is really experience level. The blue column is basically, think of that as intro level. Yellow is mid-level, and orange is master of all things. So, we start out at 100 hours. If somehow you work in coaching and you're just racking up those hours like mad, you could skip right over the blue if you wanted to and go straight to the yellow. But most people stop off on the blue and pick up that ACC for their name and then go on to yellow as they get their 500 hours. But the biggest difference is the amount of training you've had and the amount of practice. Our training gets you all the way to yellow. Okay, I see some questions in here about credits and transfer credits. We'll talk about that here in just a second. This is our alumni group that I mentioned. Great resource for the business side of coaching things, as well as just keeping up that community vibe and interacting with other coaches, because coaches are awesome. They are great people, and continuing to maintain those relationships can be really valuable. So we have that as a resource. Group coaching can count for hours. However, it only counts for 1 hour, even if you coach 15 people all at once. And not to worry, all of these little specifics on how to get your hours and what's worth this, and we go over that ad nauseum in the program. As you move through the program, you'll become more and more familiar with all of the requirements, what you need to apply, what the website looks like, all of these things. You'll become very familiar with it, and have plenty of help navigating that process should you want it as you go through. So we're nearing our scheduled end. I want to be mindful of people's time. We're very nearly done with our slides. This, I just want to take a quick second to mention, because this is an academic program, it is vetted by campus, by the UC Davis main campus. It is worth master's degree credit. So we actually have an agreement already established with the University of the Pacific, where if you have a bachelor's and you finish this program, you can jump in and jump it straight into their master's program. It's a master's in leadership for organizational learning and effectiveness. Really fun program. Somebody mentioned like motivational interviewing and solutions focused kind of ideas. This very much design thinking, all of those things are very much involved in this particular degree program. So you may end up being very interested in this program. We have students who figure out, yeah, I definitely want to do that. So I'm going to talk to the degree program right now. As soon as I get accepted to UC Davis, then I'll talk to University of Pacific, and I'll line it up so that as soon as I graduate from UC Davis, I'll slide right into the University of Pacific Masters and have a master's degree all the way within, I think it's a year and a half. Don't quote me on that. We can get you the contact if you're interested in their program. But we have people take advantage of this every single year. It's a very fun program. And that is because it is academic credit. That said, if another institution doesn't want to accept the credit, that is their prerogative. So there may be another program out there who says, yeah, I mean, I see that this is academic credit, but we would really rather you pay us and take all of our classes. So we're not going to accept that credit. That's, totally up to them. They can do that. However, it is for academic credit should the other institution allow transfer credit. So the question on the ICF, when you can start counting hours, from day one in the program. So day one, when you start a coaching program, an ICF certified program, you can start counting your coaching hours. If you're already coaching, that's when you can start picking those up. So that was a question in there. All right, so this slide is the money slide, always important. We do have options and discounts available. Everybody who attended live today with us is going to get a $100 discount coupon just for being with us here today. So that's going to come to you in an email. We know that's not like a really big discount off of a multi-$1,000 program. But as my dad used to say, that's antihistamine money. It's nothing to sneeze at. So, and then we do also have student loans, preferred providers that we work with. We do qualify for the GI Bill and other funding options. Christy, I don't know if you want to say anything about those options for getting in touch with you.
Yeah, so Suzette Odom is our financial advisor. She is absolutely the guru of everything financial. If you have questions as to something that you already know is an option for you, she is the best bet. If you are looking just to get some generic information, I can definitely guide you in that way. I can get you links to our website. I'm happy to talk you through. But if you already know the path that you're looking to search into, Suzette would definitely be your best contact that direction.
Thanks so much, Christy. So that's perfect. You'll get your recording, or just jot down her email right now while it's on the screen. That's Suzette. She does all of our what we call it special financing. So if you know that you're a veteran, and going to use those funds, getting connected with her right away is going to be great. And then we also do have a payment plan option, which can split your payment, your tuition into 2 payments, so that it's slightly easier to manage those payments. All right, so that is the conclusion of our content. I'm going to take a look now and see what we have in the questions and the Q&A box and things like that. For the folks who don't have any questions, thank you for joining us. Really excited to meet you and see applications if you do go down that route. This is definitely one of my favorite programs to manage, because coaches they're just wonderful people and they're fun. So have a great afternoon or evening, or whatever the sun is doing wherever you are. And if you want to stay on, we will stay on and answer some quick questions. And then Mike, I want to be mindful of your time. Would you like to stay on with us, or?
Yeah, I'd love to stay on for at least another 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll give it another 5-10 and call it an evening. The cost of the course, once again, is $9,500. That's $9,500, and that covers everything. No surprises after that. Okay, so let's see. What do we have? The credits be applied for a graduate program. So yes, we did discuss that. They can be applied, but it's not a guarantee that the other institution would want to accept them. That's totally up to the other institution. So speaking, what are some of the modalities that are taught? And this is really, active listening comes to mind, building intimacy, trust. Gosh, Mike, throw any other out there that come to mind. What are our our core competencies?
Really, like creating a relationship, and just like you said, building that trust and holding that space for folks, deep listening, asking those deep and really those questions that really allow you to expand. People might come to a session and they might share with you, I want to find a new job, and it may not necessarily be about the job, but it might be something deeper, in terms of why are you looking for a new job? What is it that you would love to do? Maybe, and it's just trying to kind of to go deep and to really go wide. Does that help?
Yeah, I think so, and it's definitely, we talk about coaching the who, the person, not the why. So while it may be, they may have a solution that they're aiming for, or a problem that they want to cover, we talk about not diving straight for that problem, like, oh, okay, well, you need a planner and to just outline your dates and you'll be good. No, why are you feeling, not, we wouldn't ask this, but how do your days feel? And they may say chaotic, or really getting at, maybe they end up figuring out, I need to change my job. I don't need a planner. My values don't match this job. And so really talking about those kinds of skills and things like values assessments, tools like that, that can be really illustrative for the client. We do talk about those sorts of things as well. So I hope that kind of answers your question, Emily, and about sort of the modalities and things. Feel free to get in touch with us if you have other.
One more thing to add to that. The other part I think that's really helpful is that a lot of times you'll have clients who will come to you and they'll ask they'll hope that they'll get a solution at the start of your session. And then all of a sudden, as you dive into it, you realize that it kind of takes a different direction. And sometimes at the end of it all, what I often hear from clients is that they walk away feeling more clear, more clarity, more lightness. They have some concrete next steps. And so it may not necessarily arrive at an immediate solution, but it really helps to move the whole process forward.
Very good point. Let's see. There are some questions here about the mentor coaching again, how that's different in your coaching hours. So the mentor coaching is you're going to actually have someone who's already a PCC coach. They're going to listen to a recording you make with a client. You'll get the client's permission. Hey, can I record this and share this with my mentor? And they'll say yes on the recording. And then your mentor will listen and write and give you feedback on your technique. And so these are mentor hours, and they're required by the ICF if you want to get that ICF certification. And so that's different than the training, which is sitting in class, doing class stuff, class practice. And that's different from the practice hours where you're just outside of class, coaching, getting those practice hours. So those are the 3 different kinds of hours. And those practice hours, they do need to be paid, but that's in quotes. So there's something called barter coaching, where I may say to Mike, hey, Mike, I'll coach you for $1. And Mike says, yeah, sure. And then I'll coach you for $1. And so we virtually pass each other $1, coach each other. And now we both have paid coaching hours. And that is legitimate and approved by the ICF as a way to get paid coaching hours. It could be a coffee. Somebody could buy you a coffee, and that counts as a paid hour. So it just needs to be, you need to be practicing sort of getting comfortable with the fact that your skill has value, which can be difficult for a lot of new coaches. So you do have to have some of those as paid hours. Checking these off as we go. Finding clients in the community. So we do connect you with one client. If we have a whole bunch who apply, then we might have, get you more than one, but we get you one if you're interested. And then it's kind of up to you and in your court. So this is the hard part about coaching, is that it is in the end not a very easy look on Indeed for a coaching job. It's starting to be that's starting to increase. Google is hiring coaches, Sutter is hiring coaches, UC Davis is hiring coaches, but it's also still a space where you really kind of have to be a go-getter and put yourself out there. You can ask all kinds of people for ideas. Some people, they figure out their niche and they say, okay, I'm going to spend a lot of time on these Facebook areas and really build a community. And then I'm going to talk to these people about hey, I'm learning to be a coach. And do you guys want, would you mind letting me practice with you? So there is a little bit of a component that rests with the coach to put themselves out there for those clients.
Heather, if I could just jump in also, in terms of the clients with our cohort, obviously our fellow classmates were definitely folks who we regularly exchanged coaching sessions with outside of class, friends, family, work colleagues. Some really unexpected people have kind of when they found out that I was coaching, they expressed curiosity about what I do and how I do it. And, some of them became clients. It's been a really surprising and rich experience in that respect. And then also, I know that some folks in our cohort, they were either on a board or they worked for a nonprofit and they offered up their services that way. I did that with one nonprofit. I haven't actually done hours, but I'm on their kind of their roster as well. So there's a lot of creative ways to kind of to get those hours and to put yourself out there.
Yeah, very true. We used to have, when we were in person, we'd have the binder of, and this was pre-tech, and somebody was at the bar with their binder and it said coaching across the front, and the bartender was like, what's that about? And so they ended up getting the bartender as a client because, they were sitting at the bar and talked to the bartender and they were like, yeah, let's do it. So lots of ways you just got to be out there and talking to folks. Okay, we're just going to wrap up here in our last couple of minutes. The cost of the UOP Master's Program, I don't know that off the top of my head, but please feel free to either get in touch with me. I think it is on their website, but we have a special contact that we can connect you with and get you their information if you're interested in that master's program. So feel free to respond to the email that you get and let us know if you'd like more information on that. If you do the payment plan, when are the payments due? Definitely get in touch with Christy and she can get you an updated payment plan so that you can see how that works out. Ultimately, we want all the money as early as we can before the program starts so that we can buy you the textbooks and buy the Zoom accounts, which I never told everybody else why that's important. The Zoom accounts are important because we need to be able to have transcripts of that of the work that you do with your clients so that you can submit those for the ICF and we can grade those. So it's good to have the payments as early as you can, and then Christy is always able to get you some exact dates. How are you evaluated? Where did that one go? It jumped. Written exams, oral exams, both. Yes, there is one final written exam. And it is quite easy because it's on the content that you've been drilling since like day 2. It's on the core competencies. So it's not to worry. And then there are the oral exams where you turn in recordings and get feedback on those. And your final recording is what determines if you're going to graduate at an ACC level or a PCC level. You're basically how skilled all the markers who go into vast detail about what qualifies as what. And you'll learn all about that. That's your final oral exam. And it can be scary at first, but by the time you get there, everybody's ready. And as for when are you getting the recording, this recording is automatically sent out by our system 24 hours later. So it should be arriving to your registered email address by tomorrow. For us on the Pacific time, that's 4:30 p.m. And you'll have this recording. If you have any specific questions, also totally feel free to contact us here at UC Davis as well. Okay, that just about covers all the questions. The winter session schedule, we can get you a look at what the winter session, this current session looks like, so you can have an idea. And we will have a firm schedule. Where are we now? June. So probably within the next 3 weeks, we'll have a schedule for the winter time ironed out for all of the availability of all the instructors. So you can keep touch with us, and we can get you some exact dates in this coming month. The books, we have done both print or digital based on your preference. So we try and be eco-friendly, and we know some people really prefer those digital ones. And so we ask and say, hey, are you one of the folks who want it sent straight to your e-reader or your Kindle? We can do that. I think that's all the questions. We are a little bit over the time I was shooting for, but that's okay. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much, Christy.
My pleasure. If anyone has any questions, you can always reach out to me. I put my email address in the chat box. It's just my first and last name at gmail.com. Thank you guys for inviting me. Good luck with wherever this next chapter takes everybody.
Thank you so much, Mike. That's so valuable. And I look forward to chatting with you in the future. And have a good night, everybody.